I really think I just have to ride this thing out, until I have some mental calmness, because I'm going through a bit of a life transition still right now. So
yeah, I'm watching how you say it, and it's almost as your body language says it all. Like it's hard to do because you're using a language, which is a linear, very one side of the brain type of process. It has to conform to this thing, and we're talking about this more holistic other side of the brain that's doing all these things at once and sees a bigger picture. So it fundamentally operates differently, but we have to conform through this little funnel of language to convey this holistic experience, or this feeling of oneness. So it's almost a contradiction. You almost trip the moment you speak about it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you can't even. It's like you can to an extent, then you just can't. The rest of it's just you can't really speak about it. You have to like experience it and have it kind of have its way with your brain, and
I think
it raped me. No, I was just kidding.
I mean, thinking about language and how it fails to allow us to convey
Language fails.
these spiritual experiences.
It's another character.
I think my experience with psilocybin mushrooms, a different psychedelic substance, has been fundamentally about my relationship to language. Like all of my trips, either I become unable to shut up and I have so much to say, and the words flow as if I were channeling them. When I say them, I hear it, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. I didn't think of the idea before I said it.
Yeah.
And other times I'll just become so alienated from my own ability to speak. I completely lose my voice because I see how impossible it is to describe what is happening in any sort of accurate sense. And I think that's like the polarity there is, on the one hand, when you do speak, you start creating things that weren't there. But then when you feel like you've lost your ability to speak, it's as though you're expecting language to be able to describe what's already there. And what it always had been doing was creating something that wasn't there. Right? So it's almost...
Okay, yeah.
It's like there's something tremendously creative about language and something terribly limiting at the same time. And it's, just to sort of give the other side to what you were saying about not being able to express things because of the limits of language. It seems that there's also a sense in which language is infinite and boundless, because there's no telling what you can invent with your own words,
Yeah.
Poetically or metaphorically. So and the way we speak, I think, is deeply related to the way we think about the world. So, in many ways, whether it's meditation or a psychedelic experience, altering the way you relate to language and to words and to your own voice is probably, I think it's often an unrecognized component of a spiritual practice.
I wanted to ask you one more question before we close out, because it looks like our time is getting about there, and we've covered most of the topics. We talked about altering your state meditatively with drugs. There's also a way that most people wouldn't consider spiritual, but I wanted to know your take on it, and that is sexuality. With that in some sense, some people view that as the most spiritual, this union of two...
Very tantric.
Two kind of things coming together for this synergy,
divine union.
Yeah, this union. It's almost a metaphor of oneness. And some people during orgasm or peak experience, they don't feel separate. All they know is that pleasure. Nothing else is around them. So in a sense, this bliss, this oneness, is a perfect physical metaphor for spirituality. Wouldn't you say? And has a spiritual worldview changed your perception of sexuality?
Yeah, it's definitely changed, because I used to have all these, I guess, normal beliefs that haven't really been trespassed by me before, or not trespassed, I guess, traversed. But now understanding spirituality and combining it with sexuality and sex, it really the actual act of sex, it makes both sides more balanced, and it balances the idea in your mind. So you can see it for what it really is. It's not you trying to dominate the other person. It's not one having the most power or the one having the best time or whatever. It's very mutual, and yeah, like you said, John, synergistic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they build on each other.
Yeah,
it's definitely changed my worldview.
It sounds like you view it more as a dance rather than like some kind of thing that you need to do, like a competition or something. Like you're trying to prove yourself to other men, or I did this with all this many girls or this many guys.
The whole point of sex becomes bragging about your exploits with all these different
which seems to be this kind of all materialistic. I've acquired this much.
How many?
Yeah.
Instead of how good was it really?
Yeah.
But I think there's also an overemphasis. This is how my spiritual development has changed my attitude towards sex. It seems that often the culture at large leads you to believe that it's all about orgasm. That's the whole point of sex. That moment of pleasure.
The end point.
The end point. Whereas
means in the end,
the end is all that matters. And so you can, that's why there are so many rapists, because it's just like the idea of what the most pleasurable thing is for many men, just because of our sort of patriarchal culture, is to totally dominate a woman to the point of raping, And it's all, I think, because the orgasm is taken as the soul, it's like the pearl at the center of the oyster, and nothing else matters. And it seems, I could almost say that everything is sexual in the sense that it's all some sort of that foreplay itself is the point. That's the climax, and that you can extend that not just to an intimate moment with a partner, but to your whole life. I think the trick is almost seeing orgasm as something which needs to be spread out over the whole of life, rather than just being this sort of pearl that you're constantly in pursuit of, and as soon as you get it, it's gone the next moment, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, so you mentioned foreplay, and what he was talking about was this poetic dance now, this balancing act. And it seems that's what it is. It's this Lelosan era, kind of just having at it for a while, this play, this dance, and there's going to be trials and tribulations all along the way. But so in a metaphorical sense, the universe is kind of like this big dancing sexual act. Yeah. And then, so I think spiritual views are fine with calling it that. And I see you nodding your head. Maybe this is something you intuited as soon as this spiritual vibe embraced, or you embraced this spiritual vibe, or whatever it was. Yeah. But a lot of people are on board with calling it a play, calling it a dance. And they of course the climax is on there, but it's more of a process. There's some kind of linear. Instead of trying to struggle along till we get to this great thing over there, we're gonna do our best. We're gonna try so hard and get this achievement over there. Right. But instead of this elegant process, this flowing phantasmagorical way of things, it seems to be this difference. It's just something you notice, I guess. Is that what you notice? Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, this sounds right. That is what I see sex as becoming. Like, sex is it's not as big as a priority as it used to be for me, just because all the mental things I'm going through right now. It's like, it's not finding some chick is not what my next goal at the moment. It's kind of but yeah, it's always that's what I see it as.
Yeah,
it's always in the mind somewhere.
Yeah.
But go without it for a while. Biology's not going anywhere. But I think we do have to wrap it up. I think we covered all our points, Luke. So.
But thanks for coming on with us, Luke. We'll.
No problem. It was fun.
I'll edit this and probably have it up later tonight.
So, yes. Number 2, second the best. Second the best is what they say. Conversation.
Cool.
So man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All right. Thanks. See you guys later.
See you next time.
Take it easy.